Yeah, what's going on, everyone? How are you today on Coffee with Bros? Here we are. Here we are. We got a lot today. We got the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the Boston Bruins at home. We have the Ben Simmons drama. The 76ers are headed to the New Orleans Pelicans to see if they can start off the season 1-0 after yesterday's debacle. And then, of course, last night, there was a ton of MLB postseason, crazy day in the postseason world, a controversial call in Fenway. Cody Bellinger wakes the hell up from the poor season and has had some nice postseason moments. So there's a lot going on. There is a lot happening. How are you today? Yesterday was a circus. That's the best way to kind of put it into words, to be honest with you. Yesterday was a full-out circus in Camden, New Jersey, with the debacle of not showing his face. Now, I'm not surprised. I honestly felt once I realized that we were sitting there for 10, 15 minutes, hold on a second. There's no way this guy shows up. There's no way this individual shows up. And then bang, what do you know? You get the report that he's suspended. And then bang, what do you know? You get the report that he's not there. Very methodical approach by him to get kicked out of practice so he did not have to face the music. And I guess with Doc Rivers, he kind of fed right into what Ben Simmons wanted. So that almost upsets me a little bit. Like, he knew that Ben did not want to see the cameras. Well, why not just force him to continue to play out the entire practice so he at least has to do that, because he wants exactly what you're doing, which is getting him out of the facility. You're playing right into the hands. That's the issue. But good morning, everyone. How are you on this fine Wednesday? Is it Wednesday already? Wednesday. It's October 20th. The months are flying. Cheers, everybody. We got ourselves our fall blend. We're running out of our fall blend, so I don't know what's next. I got a pumpkin spice bag in there that died out on me a little bit. Maybe I'll throw one of those in there maybe tomorrow or something, or maybe later on today when I make another cup, which I do right after this show. I don't know, but here we go. Cheers, everyone. Jeff says Ben came back to get his money, and now he's suspended and still losing money. Let the bum sit and stew. Sixers over 4 years, he won't win. Yeah, but see, the problem is, Jeff, you can't run an organization where this is what you have to do for the next 82 games, right? And you're talking about over a 4-year span. Well, you could have this last for maybe a week, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month. You cannot legitimately have your franchise ran in a way where this is what you're consistently going to do nonstop just because you hate Ben Simmons. Like, at some point, there has to be, and the league will step in. That is also a factor. I mentioned this on the podcast yesterday when I was listening to Mikey Miss. He kind of dove through the CBA a little bit, and after a repeated offense happens, the league can step in and then start throwing some trajectory on it, whether they suspend him themselves, whether they tell the 76ers that their suspensions aren't worthy, and then Ben Simmons doesn't get suspended. I mean, it really depends on how they see things, how they handle it. But, at some point, the NBA will step in and start maneuvering the way that they think is best for the league. We're talking, this is national story news, not even sports world anymore. We're at the national level of just plain simple news stories. And we're starting the NBA season. LeBron plays last night. The Golden State Warriors are in action with Steph Curry. No one gives a damn except for the fact that you have Ben Simmons doing this, and you got Kyrie Irving doing what he's doing. And those are the major top two headlines everywhere you go, because they should be, because these are so outrageous. But, yeah, I mean, you're talking about Milwaukee Bucks playing last night and looking in control. And, yeah, that's great, but what about Ben Simmons? Yeah, that's great, but what about Kyrie Irving? And I have a buddy of mine who lives out in Albany, New York. And I woke up to an Instagram DM from him that he sent me one of those reels or one of those videos that somebody was talking about. And he's like, dude, how about this side of the story? It's so crazy. And it's kind of funny and interesting to look at an outsider's perspective, but it also pisses me off because the video was explaining about how Ben Simmons was thrown under the bus by Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid. I'm like, dude, really? You're getting sucked into this nonsense? This man wants you to blame the finger, point the blame at every single individual except for himself. What type of loser complains that when he got drafted as a first overall pick, the team was too good for him, and that was a problem? Oh, yeah, Tyrese Maxey's having a real big issue playing with a good team. Dante DiVincenzo when he came in the league playing with the Milwaukee Bucks. What a shame that you have to play with such great talent, right? I mean, what an embarrassing way of thinking. What a loser mentality. I'm like, dude, you're way too good to fall into this trap. Don't try and pin it on the fan base because that's the easy narrative. There's one person to blame here, and that's the man who does not shoot a basketball. The bar was set so low when we had the discussion of you don't even have to make your shots, just take your shots. What NBA player is held to that standard here over 5 years? You know? So it's crazy. Nah, Ben's not going to play, man. I mean, they know what they're doing here. Ben is not going to play. He's not playing. All right? He's handling this the way that he's handling this for a reason. Wait. Report written that a lot of teams know that Ben is trying to hurt. Well, of course. I mean, anyone who can see or hear this story knows that he's doing this to try and get out quicker. But I also don't think he realizes that this is hurting his image so much that if you do the pros and the cons of this method, this does not outweigh the alternative, which would be show up to work and go play. Look at Zach Ertz, right? He was miserable early on, and he said he had a big smile on his face because training camp was fun. He also showed up to training camp with his shorts inside out so nobody would see the logo. What did he do? He went to work every day. He battled every day. He ended up getting traded, and now he's on a 6-0 Arizona Cardinals team when we knew there was a toxic environment, that he was not a pleasure. Like, he did not think it was a pleasure to be around towards the end. So, if you go with the approach of I'm just going to go, I'm going to ball, and I'm going to have my stock rise because people are going to see me drop 22, 12, and 12, 18, 9, and 7, right? You're going to see me do that in the regular season, and then teams will be calling. I'll get my wish. I'll get exactly what I want, but and there's still leverage here. So I still believe, by the Sixers, that is, I still believe he will get traded, even though he's acting like this and going down this path. There is still a way because of the intrigue of his skill set and how high his ceiling is. But at the end of the day, man, it's like crazy how you can see both sides and then how one is being perceived and how the other. Ben Simmons' pictures in the front of the Daily News, as it should be, with his hands on his knees in a sweater and a hoodie while everybody else is practicing. While Zach Ertz has a full page out on the Philadelphia Inquirer thanking everybody for what they have done for him and the city that has really brought him into town. Nah, not really. I mean, no, not really. If these offers were on the table, I mean, there's a reason why Daryl Morey did not pull the trigger on these trades. That does not fulfill his needs. And quite frankly, it is an underpay. It is an undersell of the Ben Simmons ceiling. So it makes a lot of sense. Not really. You could get Colin Sexton right now. You could easily get Colin Sexton for Ben Simmons right now. Daryl Morey doesn't want that, and he made it very clear that he's not just going to ship Ben out of town for role players, because that does not help this team get to where they believe is the best. And you can say, well, neither is this route, which is keeping Ben Simmons on the team. You're right. That's why they're holding out until they can find something better. And then once they do that, they feel they're in a better position to make that jump as a franchise. Dude, Greg, come on, man. What? This is, I don't even know where to take this. What do you mean no other superstar wants to play with Embiid? Where are you getting this from? Where is this information coming from that nobody wants to play with Joel Embiid? Have you heard anybody say that? You don't have the money to get any superstars because you have that tied up in Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid. So it's not as if the Sixers just have all this money laying around and they're offering Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and all Giannis. Like, what? What are we doing here? I mean, right? It's almost as if we just have unlimited amount of money and all these players are just available and everyone's like, nah, I don't want Joel Embiid at all. I think there's a flaw in Joel Embiid. I mean, what are we doing here? Holding out for something better? Yeah, holding out for something better. You might think the stalemate is making it, but it's not. I mean, it maybe it is right now, but at some point there's a big cycle of a circle where 2 months from now, 1 month from now, it's a different vibe because the team is in a different spot. They might have an injured player. They might not think they're as good as what they are. It's one big cycle. So right now, obviously, you're in a position of this is going to be miserable. This is horrible. And then 1 or 2 weeks from now, you can be like, hold on a second. That was a great idea because now there's more on the table. So as we sit here now, yeah, I think it's easy to have that type of reaction of we're screwed forever and there's no way you get anything for Ben. Look at this. Look at the way it's going. And then 2 weeks from now, you can have a totally different vibe. 2 weeks ago, we had a different vibe. 2 weeks before that, we had a different vibe. 2 weeks before that, we had a different vibe. 2 weeks from now, we'll have a different vibe. It's just one big cycle of where the current, where it is currently right now. And teams are going to be in a different scenario as the teams start playing and they see what they have. They see what they're missing. They see what they need to change on their roster. And it opens up the door for plenty of opportunities. I already thought about the mental health side of things, Fran, because I brought this up in the podcast as well. Lane Johnson, I'm okay. Obviously, if somebody has an issue and it seems that there is some sort of demon that he's fighting upstairs in his brain, or else we're not even having this situation. Obviously, I mean, something's happening, right? But do you see the way that you handle it? That doesn't really downplay the way that he has went about things. I am what I am. It is what it is. I'm blaming Joel. I'm blaming Doc. I'm blaming the fans. I'm blaming the roster construction. I'm blaming everybody else but me. That's just, it's not right. It's not the right way to handle things. If you say, I have to go through this, kind of like Lane Johnson did, I have to go through this. I got to step away for a little bit to get myself right. That's what he stated once he came back. And it's like, okay, we understand that. That's fine. It's a big part. Mental health. It's important. It's a big part of life. That's acceptable. But you got to go about it the right way. And Ben just hasn't. But I've 1,000% already thought of that angle. And to be honest with you, I mean, can Ben Simmons admit that publicly? I don't know. I mean, he can't even publicly admit that he should have shot a ball instead of passed the ball. So can he make such a big statement with mental health? I don't know. I don't think that fits his character. It fits who he is. But don't you think maybe that would have been weighed as an option already? Something would have been already talked about with him and Rich Paul. They would have targeted that first and early instead of this, because now it puts them at a disadvantage when you handle it this way, and then you come out and make that type of statement. So I already thought about that. I'm sure the Sixers have as well. I'm sure there's CBA stuff in there. It'll be fascinating to see how it plays out if it does go down that road. I can't wait to see what Daryl Morey actually pulls off with this mess. Thank God we have him in the chair. Oh, yeah, no doubt. If there was anybody else, well, no, I wouldn't take a shot at EB here because anybody would be in a really tough spot. This isn't easy. There's no real way to do it. There's no blueprint. This is how you handle a guy who's under contract for 4 more years, right? I mean, this isn't a 1-year situation, which was what happened with Anthony Davis and other stars around the league that get upset. We are dealing with a contract high max player type of guy, which adds such a different layer to this. This isn't EB would have screwed this up and it would have been miserable. It's anybody other than the high level executives would probably fall right on their face. You have the right guy to do it. And, everyone talks about how much the Brooklyn Nets and the Houston Rockets with that trade, and clearly James Harden just wanted out. If you go back to what they acquired, because we're talking compensation, right? They got a shit ton of stuff. Now, they had a different approach because they wanted draft picks, but let's see. What did Brooklyn Nets give up for the trade? 14 blockbuster trade that landed Victor Oladipo, 4 first-round picks, and 4 pick swaps. I mean, it's not as if they got absolutely nothing. 4 first-round picks. Now, there's a big difference. One guy wants to play basketball. The other guy doesn't. Well, to be fair, James Harden didn't want to play in Houston, and his buy-in level was completely different in another city. I'd imagine that's the same case here. But obviously, you have so many more question marks on who the player is in Ben Simmons, where you knew who the player was in James Harden. The resume spoke for itself. The gameplay, the attitude, the swagger, the scoring ability spoke for itself. you might be wondering, well, can he win a game 7 as the guy? Well, he's not the guy now because he's with Kyrie, who's unavailable, but he's with Kyrie and Kevin Durant at the time of that trade. You were teaming him up with stars where he wasn't the number one guy. It's a little bit different of a scenario. I would love to sit down with what do you say here? I would love to sit down with the other players while having a beer and hear what they have to say about Ben and all of his bullshit. Yeah, I'm sure that would be interesting. I'd rather be a fly at the wall or fly on the wall in the locker rooms before and after practice, during practice at the Camden facility, just so I can hear like the little side conversations of what Daryl Morey and Elton Brand are talking about, or what Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers is talking about when they're in the office about how to handle this. Now, I think you're putting way too much credit on Malcolm Brogdon or giving him too much credit. He's a nice player, but neither of these players are anything that really, wow, really excite you to this crazy level. But it doesn't matter anyway because now Malcolm Brogdon is unavailable due to the fact that he signed that contract. He got paid with a nice ticket, and now they're, due to the NBA rules, they're sticking with Malcolm Brogdon in Indiana. So that's kind of where you're at right now from that front. Hypothetically, this is from George or Jorge. Hypothetically, if the roster stays the way until the end of the season, no. Home court advantage, that means what? A top 5 seed? They're in that range of 5-6. That's probably where they will fit, in that 5-6 range. So maybe. I mean, they're clearly not going to be good enough to actually do some lethal damage in the postseason and actually go on like a legitimate run or anything, which is unfortunate. But could I see them as a top 5 and more in that? Like, obviously, I'm not talking 1, 2, or 3. So you're saying, could they be a 4 or a 5 seed in the regular season if Tyrese Maxey runs your 1? The problem is right now, Shake Milton's injured, and you don't have a second unit role player to kind of run your point. You're going to be running with Furkan Korkmaz and running with some interesting looks, but you have to do that because you don't really have the alternative right now. But yeah, I mean, possibly they can land in 5 or something along that line, but yeah, 4, 5, 6 range. Maybe that's who they are. I just think he's a nice fit with the team. Beal, Levine. I just don't see it happening. I don't see Bradley Beal happening. Unvaccinated player. I mean, we know Malcolm Brogdon's not happening at this point, so. You don't understand Beal or Lillard's mindset. I don't understand Beal's, but with Lillard, I understand it a little bit more. He just has loyalty. He's got loyalty to his city. Yeah, it's a tough time to hang in the West when you're stuck behind the Denver Nuggets, you're stuck behind the Lakers, you're stuck behind the Clippers. But I at least respect the fact that he's got dog in him that says, I want to stay in this city and I want to go win a championship here. I'm going to leave my heart out here on the floor. I can understand Lillard. Because while they have their troubles and they get stuck in this awkward spot with CJ McCollum and, they're in a weird spot because of how deep that conference is, they're still in a significantly different scenario than where the Washington Wizards are, who just flat out blow. Like the Wizards blow. They suck. They're horrendous. The Portland Trailblazers, while they have their deficiencies and they get caught in uncomfortable spots because of, how much lethal opponents they need to fly through, when you talk about 82-game seasons and playing in that conference, they're still a team that battles and competes. And they do make runs throughout the year. So they do have their hands flirting in the mix, throughout. What's up, Sean? What's happening? The only thing that would concern me when Simmons deports, major size deficiency. Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I think that's one area that is insanely concerning. I mean, I scream about Furkan Korkmaz every single damn day because of the defense. So their half court will get better. Their defense will not be as good by the perimeter. Tyrese Maxey's probably going to get exposed over and over and over again. Hopefully Isaiah Joe can get thrown into a role here that and I'm not telling you Isaiah Joe, hey, there's the difference. No, but, hopefully he can bang some threes for you and also bang on the perimeter defensively as well. You're going to get shelled in that area. So you lose a step defensively. You're still going to be at least an average defensive team because of the fact that Joel Embiid is still a phenomenal defender, and he's going to be a great rim protector where you'll still be able to hang in there even with the lack of Ben Simmons and how he can defend 1 through 5. So you'll lose some defensively. You'll lose some in the open floor too. Half-court offense makes way more sense in the postseason. But in the regular season, there's a lot to be said about the open floor concept, as if I'm selling a house. But the open floor, that's what Ben Simmons thrived in, and that's why he was so damn good in the regular season compared to the postseason. You're going to lose the ability to play fast like that as well. Well, I'm not saying they're contending. The Portland Trailblazers, I didn't want to make it seem as if I see them as a legitimate contender at all. But I'm just saying in terms of, comparing them to where the Washington Wizards are, there is clearly a difference in skill. There's clearly a difference in where they are. They might be stuck in an uncomfortable spot, like I said, but they can still win basketball games. They can still win playoff series. Bradley Beal can't at all, not even a little bit. Yeah, but I mean, look, you're talking about Bradley Beal, and you can't understand why Damian Lillard stayed. Damian Lillard is in a different scenario than Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is in a dysfunctional organization that has no clue about anything. The Portland Trailblazers are still a team that can at least compete and hang in there and battle and fight and scratch and crawl. Like, there is a difference here on where these two organizations are, and people are acting as if the Trailblazers had zero success over the last 6 years together as a franchise. No, they have their ups and downs. They have some really nice runs, and then they fall flat. And they have really nice runs, and then they fall flat. But there's still nice runs sprinkled in throughout. It's not like the most crazy, fascinating story in the world that someone like Damian Lillard would like to stay in Portland. Yo, what's up, Desert Eagle? What's happening, man? How are you today on this fine Wednesday morning at 9:28, October 20th? I can't believe it. Every time I look at the damn date, it just blows my mind because it's moving along so fast. I think Doc will run Curry, Green, Thibault, Harris, and Embiid with Maxey getting a lot of minutes off the bench. I've seen him do that before. I've seen him run Seth Curry at the point before. I don't know if I would like to. I mean, maybe that's your best bet. I want to see Maxey get a lot of run, and he still will get a lot of run if he is the sixth man coming off of the bench. So, I mean, I guess it would be understandable if they did go down this road. Maybe you're right. I wouldn't be surprised if that's something they throw out there, to be honest with you, because you need help off the bench. I also could see them starting Maxey and then Furkan runs point off the bench. I think there's a reason why you saw the ball in his hands before, because I want to at least see it. Maybe it's not something they rely heavily on in the beginning. Maybe it's something that they naturally try and have him progress throughout game, maybe 5 minutes here, 4 minutes here, 6 minutes here, and just allow that to kind of snowball into a bigger situation. Wow, they switched goalies? I thought it was supposed to be Martin Jones. We got a little Flyers breaking news, do we? Is that for real? Let's see. I'm sorry. All right. I thought that there was a Martin Jones thing. I saw Charlie O'Connor tweeted out yesterday that, look, you're not proud. I like that, though. Let's see what the kid's got. No, I don't think he made a mistake, but maybe he did. I don't know. I'll go back to what Charlie caught. Okay. So this was 19 hours ago. Martin Jones is the backup goalie, and there's no way Carter Hart was starting all 4 of the games on this season opening homestand. And I wouldn't be surprised if Florida, who closes out this homestand, ends up finishing better than the Bruins this year. I get that there's frustration regarding the signing of Jones in the first place, but I really don't think starting him tomorrow is some ridiculous move. That's what Charlie O'Connor tweeted out yesterday. Now, I'm waiting to see if he responds to anything so far today, tweeting about Carter Hart. I don't see anything. So I guess something we just have to keep our eyes out on, but it does seem like he's the only one tweeting. Well, the guys are speaking right now, so I can't imagine he's tweeting something other than what is stated through the media press conference that's happening that Sam Carchidi is at the moment. Oh, all right. Amadeo saying that he thinks Jones is in net. Oh, so Sam messed up? All right, we got our hockey guys in here. Well, that's interesting because he's speaking right now. So Bill Meltzer said Jones. All right, I guess I'm a little surprised that Sam's sitting there right now speaking to people and he screwed it up. But all right. Okay. Yeah, what's up, Christopher? How are you, man? How are you on this fine morning? How you doing? I appreciate all the support. You enjoy watching me in the morning? Thank you. Here's your shout out, man. Here's your shout out. All right, before we continue here, let me tell you about WinView. There's a couple fantastic jackpots that are available for you, a couple great promos available for you, one being the MLB Progressive Jackpot. For all you baseball fans out there, the perfect game Progressive Jackpot starts at $5,000 and builds after every MLB postseason game. All you need to do to win is make 10 correct predictions on WinView for any MLB game, and you're in the money. It's that simple. We could be seeing a 5-figure grand prize at the end of the World Series, so do not miss out. What's WinView? Well, let me tell you. Are you tired of getting fleeced by the house? Are you tired of spending time researching players and teams only to end up short? Welcome to WinView. WinView is the only app where skill elevates you from the competition and into the money. Play against family, friends, fans, and rivals during live sporting events. Put your sports knowledge to the test during the games that you are experiencing like you never have. Forget about the spreads or the salary caps. All you need to do is answer questions about the games that you love. There's also a phenomenal deposit bonus where it is being doubled up to $100. First-time all users. If you spend $50, you'll get $100. If you deposit $100 and spend it, you'll get $200. This is the perfect bonus to take advantage of the MLB postseason. WinView has NFL contests all week long as well. Make sure you check out their information down below, winview.tv/Broads. Get that deposit bonus. Get into that jackpot, the MLB postseason jackpot. Last night was insane. Cody Bellinger literally saved the Dodgers season. The man who was struggling all year, the man who could not hit a damn beach ball with a baseball bat, came up clutch with a huge bomb to tie the game. And then, of course, Mookie Betts, hey, how are you? Who's your father? Let me take the lead. I mean, it's just sensational to see the fight back by the Dodgers. That was monstrous. And then, of course, there was a lot of controversy in Fenway with Eovaldi and the pitch on the outside part of the plate. And behind the dish, 23 missed opportunities apparently. But if you look at it, 12 go to one team, 11 go to the other team. I thought Eovaldi's pitch was off the plate when you look at the strike zone box. But then when you see the behind the camera view, behind the plate view, it looked like maybe it caught a little bit of the plate, which would have been strike 3 in the 9th inning. But instead, it ends up being a huge run, a huge burst for the Houston Astros, and just like that, bang. So really crazy night in baseball world last night. That's a highly entertaining. I agree, Cole. I hate the analytical approach as well for hockey. Ristolainen is going to be a very controversial figure in this city, especially this year. He will have toughness. He will have grit. My concern is if he's a 75%, 80% player right now due to his injury, he's going to have to be 100%. And he's playing with Travis Sanheim, who I like, but we know he's bound to make mistakes, so there will be some issues out there in the D zone. There'll probably be some miscommunication. They're not going to be the strongest. So what happens when you're playing at 70, 75% because you're banged up, and then you're also playing with a D partner that, is going to have some growing pains as well. It might not be the best. So you're going to have moments where the analytical crowd is going to win, and they're going to be able to win that battle and shove it down your throat. And then there's going to be times where they probably look excellent, but I just don't like the fact that, Ristolainen, while I like him, I think he's going to be strong in its second D pairing type of role compared to a first D pairing role playing in Buffalo, who, I get this all the time. Bro, look, Buffalo's good without Risto. How many times has Buffalo had a nice start to the season and then collapse insanely because they stink? Okay? All right, let's cool the Jets a little bit. But, he's going to have some hiccups and flaws at 100%, so what's going to happen at 75%? Well, according to Sam Carchidi, and according to yesterday's practice, he was playing with Sanheim. Working with D partner tonight, Travis Sanheim. So it's going to be weird without watching Sixers, or it's going to be weird watching the Sixers without Zumov. Yeah, it is. It definitely is, as I got my turning garbage into gold t-shirt on right now. 1,000% it'll be different, but I think it'll still be good. It'll still be good. I've loved everything I heard from Kate Scott at this point during the preseason games, just who she is as a personality on social media. I've heard some interviews with her as well. I've read some articles on her as she's kind of doing a couple pieces throughout the city before the first game. She's very professional. So at some point, you didn't know who Mark Zumov was, and Mark Zumov stepped in that chair and did a fantastic job and stole your heart and took your heart over. Someone's got to take the next step once somebody retires. That's going to be Kate Scott, and I think that she's going to do a fantastic job. So all I would say to anybody who's like nervous on how to approach a new person, you give them every opportunity in the world, because at some point you did not know who Mark Zumov was. At some point you did not know who Harry Callis was. At some point you did not know who any of these voices were of a team. They became that naturally over time, and they stole your heart. So just allow that same opportunity to Kate Scott, and that's how you have to approach it. But she's very professional. She sounds amazing. I don't know how to pronounce this name, so I don't want to butcher it, but Gianluca, hello from Brazil. Why, hello from Brazil? What time is it in Brazil? Is it Brazil time right now? Let's see. It's what? It's 10:30 a.m. Why did I feel like it's like, oh, I guess it depends on where at. 8:38, 9:38, 10:38, 11:38. Why would it seem like to me? I guess I'm not your geographic guy, but I just assumed it's like nowhere close to this time. Maybe I'm an idiot. Cole says the Fargo Center is going to be electric now. Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be unbelievable. It's a good test early. It really is. The last two games were crazy. The Seattle game, that buzz from Nick Seeler when he ended up raising or he didn't raise his arms and fist pump the crowd. He was more of the screaming as he was skating towards the box. There were goosebumps that ran down my spine when that happened. I mean, the building was just on another level. And then, of course, same could be said when Claude Giroux scored the goal in the opening night to tie the game. Sean Couturier banked the puck off the boards there, and he did a nice little one-touch shot on the goal line that hit off Thatcher Demko's shoulder and went in. That was sensational. We'll see. Yeah, I kind of figured that as I realized, like, if you say, like, oh, what time is it in the United States? Well, it depends on where you are in the United States, so it's clearly different. Yeah, I know. Brain power not working. I have so much Ben Simmons on my mind, unfortunately. Not enough coffee through the veins. We all have those brain farts. That's all. Yeah, you know what, Grant? That's a great question. It's funny. Here we are on a Wednesday, right? And I think I've referenced that it's Wednesday like 9 times now, just in case you forgot. It's Wednesday. I just want to be clear. It's Wednesday, and it's October 20th, in case you forgot that it's Wednesday, October 20th here in October on the 20th on a Wednesday. It's Wednesday, just in case you forgot it's a Wednesday. But we're not even talking about Eagles football. Nope. I mean, clearly this Ben Simmons story, as I said, it's a national story outside of just sports, so it's going to clearly run the airwaves here in this city. Has anyone really thought about the Raiders matchup? Has anyone really thought about the offensive line, the defensive line, how Jonathan Gannon's going to play Derek Carr? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we haven't even thought about that for a second. Nick Sirianni, would that change if they were 3-3? Would that change if they were 4-2? Probably not. I don't even know if it would change. If the Eagles were 4-2 or 3-3 right now, we'd still probably be so sidetracked due to the Sixers beginning and all this that we'd be in a totally different mindset. So who knows? Oh, yeah. I mean, at this point, there should no one should expect Ben to ever play a game in a Sixers uniform. I think that's pretty clear, right? I mean, I think it would be foolish to, and maybe if it does happen, then I'd be insanely shocked. I'm not ruling it out of the equation based off of the drama and the reality television show that we are witnessing right now under the Sixers organization. So once again, I'm not claiming that it is impossible to see Ben Simmons play on Friday, but here's what I'm saying. It seems pretty clear that it's probably not going to happen where he will put a 76ers uniform on again to compete. And if he's not going to do it on the road, I don't see how he's going to do it at home in that type of environment where he's going to get absolutely annihilated and crushed. Even without him in the building, it's going to be a wild atmosphere as a whole. But no, I mean, come on. I think it would be pretty foolish at this point to sit back and say, oh, yeah, Ben's probably going to play on Friday night at all the games where he's going to elect to actually show up and say, yeah, I'll put that jersey on. It won't be in practice. It won't be in the next practice. It won't be in any training camp. It won't be in the home opener against the New Orleans Pelicans on the road, but it'll be against the Brooklyn Nets in front of our home crowd. No shot. No shot. Yeah, he'll never go near that again. Did I see about Lane Johnson? You mean the news from like 2 days ago? Yeah, I think everybody's seen the Lane Johnson. I mean, it's a pretty big deal when the right tackle comes back from a situation where nobody knew what was happening and it was up in arms. I feel for Lane Johnson. I hope he can do everything that he possibly can to get himself in a better mindset and in a position where he doesn't feel the depression and anxiety as much, because it clearly impacted his life to a point where he needed to take a step aside. So, I'm just hoping that he could get back to the healthiest version that he possibly can, for sure. All right, looks like here the Phillies are viewed as an interesting wild card, given the team's obvious need for a shortstop and a growing connection with agent Scott Boras. For years, a lot of Boras's clients landed with the Nationals, like Max Scherzer. But Boras' client Bryce Harper signed with Philadelphia, and so did Jake Arrieta. Now Harper's former hitting coach, Kevin Long, also represented by Boras, has moved from Washington to Philadelphia, in spite of the fact that Long has not seen eye to eye with Phillies manager Joe Girardi. Another Boras client is Corey Seager. So just putting it in perspective of what's going to happen with Corey Seager, what's going to happen at the shortstop position. I knew that took a weird turn. I knew that went from one extreme to the next here. That was like, hey, here's where we are with Lane Johnson, Ben Simmons, bang, Philadelphia Phillies. But there is obviously a report about Correa going to the Yankees and looking at the shortstops and all the drama that happened last night in the MLB postseason. I do wonder if they go land the big fish. Oh, we got Kendrick Perkins saying things. We're bouncing around today. Kendrick Perkins says Doc Rivers set Ben Simmons up to kick him out. Can we get a quote? Well, Rivers obviously have walked into practice Tuesday thinking he was going to send Simmons home if he continued to half-ass it. You can't take him to New Orleans, so you nip it in the bud. Just focus on your final preparations for the season opener. Let's see. He claimed, I want to hear the actual cut. It's crazy, man. It's so crazy. You're literally telling somebody, hey, run this drill. Nah. What do you mean, nah? Run this drill. Nah. What? You know what else I was thinking, too? Like, imagine being in a position, right, where you are being this much of a hassle, this much of an issue, causing this much of a circus, and you keep showing up every day. I don't think Ben Simmons has the balls to continuously show up to practice 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 practices in a row and doing this. At some point, you feel awkward. At some point, you have to look these people in the eyes after 22, and no one's on your side. You have nobody supporting you in that building. It's one versus everybody. It would be different if there was a team of 5, if there were 3 people, 4 people, 5 people that were all in Ben Simmons' camp that were standing on his side with the jerseys on as well, and it would be us against them mentality. But when you're the only guy, when you're the only person, that's seriously a bigger issue, and it's got to be difficult to honestly look at every single one of them like that 18 days in a row, 19 days in a row, 20 days. Now it's going on 22 days. I don't think he has the testicles to honestly look all of them in the eyes that many times while knowing that it's causing this much of the noise. It's got to be difficult to do. At some point, human reaction, human nature, and awkwardness comes into play. And that might be the downfall of the Ben Simmons idea and concept here of consistently showing up. Sam Carchidi just said it was Jones. Okay, just to put a little note out there that was a mistake. It is not going to be Carter Hart tonight. It'll be Martin Jones. Did I see Bleacher Report skit? Nah, I'll be honest with you. I'm not huge on following Bleacher Report too much and their skits. But how is Max? Oh, Maury. I thought that said Maxey. How has Maury been disappointing? Because he hasn't traded Ben Simmons for a bag of rocks? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what cracks me up is like people are mad at Daryl Morey. Why? Because he hasn't just shipped Ben Simmons out of town for nothing? Because he's trying to get the most back in return? Right now, he can get any of those D lows and all that. He can do that right now. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want it. He's handling this like a high-level executive would handle this. I don't know why that's pissing everybody off. Well, I do know why. Because they just want Ben out of town, and they will do anything to get Ben out of town. That's fine. That's the natural, I'm a fan, and I just don't want to deal with Ben Simmons anymore. You have to play the leverage game. You have to play the hardball game. You got to go back and forth. You got to play tough. I don't understand how it's just like, get rid of him for nothing. Well, no, that's what a bad, like, you know what that is? People would, let's say Elton Brand was in charge, and he just got rid of Ben Simmons just because. 3 years down the road, when you bring back whatever they got brought back just to get rid of him, Elton Brand sucks. This guy's an idiot. He got rid of Ben Simmons for absolutely nothing for a guy who's not even here anymore. Get Elton Brand out of town. This guy's a dope. That would be the reaction. 1,000% that would be the reaction. It's crazy. I mean, it really is. How many games are the Eagles winning this year? 6. They were set at 6.5. I had the under because I believe there'll be a 6-win football team. I think that's a good number for them. Kevin says the dude's way too much of a coward to keep showing up. That's what I'm saying. It's a very uncomfortable situation for anybody, not just him, but it's an uncomfortable spot for any human being to be in. Now, he put himself in that position, so I'm not going to feel bad for him for that, but I'm just saying, you know, it's got to be extremely disheartening, extremely brutal, extremely uncomfortable to walk into Camden every day after the first 3, 4, 5 times. Once the adrenaline wears off, once the initial first reaction happens, okay, what happens the 14th time, the 15th time? It's got to be a really weird spot. And I think at some point that's going to play a role in how this goes. And it's basically the calling the bluff theory. It's like, all right, Ben, you're going to keep doing this? We'll see if you keep doing this. We'll see if you continue to show up. We'll see how you handle it. But what are you disappointed in? That's what I'm saying. It's like, you're saying, I'm not mad at him. I'm not saying you're mad at him. You're saying but what, you're disappointed that he's not giving him away for nothing? What is making you disappointed? I think it's clear what's disappointing you. The fact that Ben Simmons is still here, because there's nothing else to be disappointed about, right? What else is disappointing? The fact that he wasn't able to land James Harden. He put Ben Simmons together. Would you have traded Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, and Matisse Thybulle and draft picks for James Harden? Now that you know the alternative, which is it's going to fall apart to this slop, maybe you would, but at the time you didn't know that. So, I mean, giving up Ben Simmons and a bunch of draft picks, he put offers on the table for James Harden. So I don't know what you'd be disappointed in other than he hasn't traded Ben yet. And then it goes back to, well, you're not going to just trade him for slop. I agree, Connor. I do think the league is going to get in there because it's embarrassing. Oh, I missed your other comment. I'm sorry. I apologize, Troy. In more context, talking about wasted opportunities with the draft. Well, I mean, this team has done everything excellent in the draft. Tyrese, and he hasn't been here for that long, but I'm just saying, there should be zero complaints with the Sixers drafting over the last X amount of years with what they were given and where their selection was. Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, Landry Shamet. And I know, like, Daryl Morey wasn't there for those picks, all of them. I'm saying I don't see how you could be upset in any way, shape, or form with what the Sixers have done on draft night through the draft in the last handful of years as a whole. So I guess I just don't see where you're at. Yeah, but that wasn't a Daryl Morey thing. That was here's the head coach. And by the way, you can't just pretend like you didn't get a first round. The trade wasn't because Zaire Smith was so special. The trade was you got a first round draft pick in return with the Zaire Smith. So yeah, Mikal Bridges is a fantastic, nice player. He's also a player that he's a 3-and-D guy. People overemphasize what he is. He's a nice player and he's strong and he would help your team. But people forget that there was a first-round draft pick involved. So it was a first-round pick and Zaire Smith, and that first-round pick helped you land Tobias Harris. So you can complain that Tobias Harris is overpaid and all that stuff, but I'm just saying, you can't leave out the biggest part of the trade when you talk about what happened. But yeah, but that wasn't him. That wasn't him. That was an organization that didn't have a general manager. So at the time, they told the head coach to be the GM. You can hate Brett Brown all you want, but it's an organizational failure to tell a head coach, oh, yeah, we don't have a GM, so you have to do something that's not your job title. You have to do something that's not your job description. Oh, you're an electrician? I need you to be a plumber for me for about 3 months until we get a plumber. Excuse me? I'm an electrician. It doesn't matter. You can figure it out. You understand some concepts. Well, that's not what it is. I mean, there's a whole different type of beast involved when you're a general manager compared to a head coach. I don't think Adam Silver is a beta at all. You look at Adam Silver and think beta? I mean, I think the complete opposite. I think that Adam Silver and this league does a good job of communicating with the CBA, and they do a good job at working with the players. It's not like baseball. They sit down and they're worthy of having communication. They're worthy of having dialogue. So, I don't see that. In what world is this man a beta? I don't see that at all. I'm just salty because I wanted to trade for Terrence Ross. Yeah, I mean, what? Hold on. We're losing here. We're getting some comments that need to be blocked, so we're just. No, I think it's just it's working together to make sure that the league is ran as smoothly as possible. That's all. I don't see it as one side or the other. I see it as they have there's a reason why the NBA is not the MLB. There's a reason why that there's communication and dialogue involved, and they settle in to get the best thing done to move in the best direction. You have to handle these situations in a very unique way. It's very bizarre the way sports are with the CBA, the players union, the ownership groups. It's not an easy job. I'm not getting into all that's not. I mean, you can talk about that all you want. That's just not what I get into. So I talk about the basketball games, but in terms of the way it's handled from an Adam Silver perspective, I see nothing wrong with the way that I don't see it as a beta. I don't see it as an alpha. I see it as a league that communicates at the right level to get the jobs done the most efficient way possible. Some give and take involved, and that's probably the right way to do it. Nothing on Springer, but why would we draft a project? I mean, guys, we're acting as if there's 3,000 ready-to-rock prospects that late in the draft. I mean, what are we doing here? Now we're yelling at the draft, and we're saying that they didn't draft well in the 20s at the last draft. I mean, what? We're now complaining that they didn't get a strong enough pick in the late 20s. It's crazy. Crazy to me. So what are we complaining about? Okay. I mean, if today we're sitting here complaining that what they drafted was wrong because there were 9,000 other options that they should have went with, then our head's in the wrong space. That's for damn sure. Our head's in the wrong space. It's funny being from Toronto, listening to some Sixer fans thinking a team will take Simmons' issues and put them on their own team. Never going to happen. Hey, Samson, come back when he's traded. I guarantee you, Ben Simmons will not be here for 4 years. Guarantee you. Ben Simmons will be traded this year. I mean, yeah, no one's going to want James Harden. Look, he's fat. Look, he didn't come into shape. He doesn't want to compete. Okay. Guarantee you that Ben Simmons will be traded. 4 years. You think Ben Simmons will be here for 4 years? Okay. I mean, I've watched the NBA. Now, this is a unique situation. It's different. There are years left on the deal. He's handling it a little bit differently than others. I've seen the NBA work. Ben Simmons will be traded. It's not even a question. It's actually asinine to believe that he'll be here for 4 years, even through the toxicness. Once again, I said this from the beginning, right? There's a circle involved here, or a cycle, I should say. And right now we're sitting in a moment where the emotions are high. We just went through the debacle yesterday. We're all feeling a certain type of way, so it's all doom and gloom. How could you ever get something in return? 2 weeks from now, you'll be in a different mindset. 2 weeks ago, we were in a different mindset than we are now. I mean, teams start playing games. People get hurt. They see what they have. They know it's not enough. They try and make a move. Teams realize that they can't get a lot of players in free agency because they're not a high destination spot. Minnesota, Cleveland, teams are willing to take that opportunity. They're ran poorly. They don't have good GMs. They don't have good president of basketball operations. So they make a move like this because they see the name Ben Simmons. They think it gives them an opportunity. I mean, come on, man. It's like you've never seen a player that was unhappy get traded after they've made it very clear they were uncomfortable. I'm not telling you that this is normal. This is not normal, the intensity of it, but it's still this guy has high potential. This guy, his ceiling is too high. We're a bad organization that never has success. We've never made the postseason in X amount of years. We stink. We'll give it a shot. But then it depends on, you say, star player. Yeah, Damian Lillard. Sure, that's fine. I agree with you. You might not be getting Damian Lillard. But there's still other ways to make this still a successful opportunity for the Sixers moving forward at the same time. Now, before we head out of here, I need to tell you about my friends over at BetQL. Let me just get that information for you first. No, that's not a deal. No. Daryl Morey is smarter than that. Do you want to get an advantage over your sportsbook? You need to download BetQL, the only app you'll need to make smart bets. Their best bet computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you a best bet recommendation for every game. Their model covers everything: spreads, over-unders, and player prop bets. There is sharp data so you can see who the pros are backing, line movements so you can jump on betting opportunities in real time, team summaries highlighting previous success against the spread, and team over-under. Head to the App Store or Google Play Store right now to download BetQL. Enter the discount code BROADS at payment checkout for 25% off any of their subscription offerings. You can check out their information down below in the description. I do want to point this out. If you are looking to get tickets for Sixers games, Flyers games, or anything along the anything along Eagles games or anywhere in your area, you can utilize the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek, and you'll get $20 off of your ticket. So that's basically eliminating the fees that they hit you with. Promo code BROADS at SeatGeek. Get yourself some tickets to a Sixers game, to a Flyers game, to an Eagles game, or if you're not from the area, Maple Leafs game or whatever it is. Before we head out of here, Joe wants to know, am I still on 97.5? Yes, I am on the weekends. This Saturday, I'll be on 9 a.m. to noon with Tyrone at Bet Rivers Casino. We've been doing that for the last couple of Saturday mornings. And then Sunday, I'm on 9 a.m. to noon as well before the Raiders game. So both of these games, or both of these days this weekend, I'll be on the Fanatic 9 a.m. to noon, to answer your question, Joe. So I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out. We got a lot of reactions tonight. Sixers reaction, Flyers reaction. Really looking forward to tonight. It's going to be fun. We're back in that grind. We're back in that winter sport grind. So always a fun time. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And I will catch you guys